Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary Tim Wood.
This is all about helping people. That is why I am so passionate about this, because it's literally getting up every day and helping people plan for the rest of their lives. Make a plan, because I promise you're going to sleep better.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Let's sit down. Let's make sure we have got a holistic plan. We're not just looking at one thing.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
And we welcome you into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. As always, we're here with the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood. My name's Kevin McAlpin, and of course, Tim and I thank you so much for joining us each and every week here on the program, and we got a lot to cover on today's show. Coming up, we're going to talk about some of the outdated things that might still surprise you that folks utilize when it comes to planning for their retirement. Plus, we'll tell you why couples should be on the same page when it comes to their finances. And later on, Tim's going to tell you how he can help you plan for a retirement that lasts 20, 30, hopefully even 40 years and beyond. We'll get to that and so much more. But first things first, we do say hello to the star of the show, the man of the hour, and my good buddy, Tim Wood. And Tim, it's always great to be with you, sir. How are you today?
I am doing well, Kevin. Hope you are doing well, and hope everyone listening is doing well and enjoying this cooler weather. You know, moving along in the football season and everything. It's a great time of year. I love October and November are my two favorite months.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know about you, but like the Christmas commercials are just non-stop. Now, I will say that, it's gotten earlier and earlier, but at least we're getting to that point where we're not seeing them before Halloween anymore. Like they'll at least wait until November the 1st, which is kind of refreshing.
For the commercials, but I mean, if you go into a Walgreens, a Walmart, or anywhere, even in October, they've already got the Christmas stuff out. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, it's great that they haven't got the commercials going, that early yet.
Yeah. I'm old enough to remember I was a kid growing up in suburban Philadelphia, and one of my favorite things was every year on Christmas Eve, the oldies station would do 24 hours of Christmas music. Now it feels like you've got 24 months just straight through. Like the Christmas music stations all start picking up now. It's really, that seems a little early in my opinion.
It is. It is for me. I mean, but I've got, my wife loves Christmas music, and I've got another friend that I went to school with years ago that she literally listens to Christmas music all year long, which I think's a problem. But that's, whatever. If that makes you happy, go get them, but yeah.
But I can tell you, for folks who listen to the show, it's all about planning, right? It's all about making a plan, looking forward. And my wife, believe it or not, is really good at that because the Amazon truck's showing up 3-4 times a day. I'm on a first name basis with the driver. I'm like, what is all this stuff? She goes, it's stuff for the kids for Christmas. We gotta work ahead. So, I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that can relate. They're in a similar situation where maybe their spouse has been hitting up Amazon a little bit earlier than they have in years past.
Yeah, I know I have been actually. I've already got half of a drawer full of stuff. Yeah, I'm actually close to done.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Whether it's your holiday shopping, whether it's your retirement, Tim Wood and his team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help you put that plan in place. I don't know if he can help you cross items off your Christmas shopping list, but he can certainly help when it comes to retirement planning. And folks, if you'd like to learn more, you'd like to get on his calendar, the number is 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. The website, again, is safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. And folks, here's what we're going to do for our radio listeners today. You're not only going to get on Tim's calendar, you're going to schedule that initial conversation, but Tim and his team, they're going to ship you out a complimentary copy of his book. It's also entitled Safe Money Retirement as well. So don't delay. First 5 callers right now, you're getting that complimentary conversation. You're also getting a complimentary copy of the book. So don't delay. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233 or online at safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. All right, so Tim, can I take you on a little trip down memory lane to start this week's show?
Let's go, man.
All right, so for our younger audience, you may not be familiar with this sound, but Tim, I know you and I can certainly agree. The days of the old AOL dial-up. Doesn't that just take you back in time?
It literally took me back to my office when I lived in Florida. Yes, I can remember hearing that sound a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, if someone in the other room picked up the phone, it would knock you offline. You're right in the middle of downloading a photo that was only going to take you 17 minutes to download, right?
Yep, it sure was. Yes, that's right.
Kids these days, they have no idea what the old AOL dial-up was like. But Tim, can you believe that service of AOL dial-up was still in service until just a couple of months ago? I mean, it really is hard to believe. There's somebody out there somewhere on this planet that was still in 2025 using AOL dial-up. That's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, but not surprising. I mean, but I have people come in to see me that still have flip phones. So it doesn't surprise me.
But when it comes to retirement planning, you mentioned a flip phone. That would be a little surprising to see one of those. Or what do they call them? Dumb phones now. They're not smartphones. They're dumb phones. Yeah. You can't get online. There's no apps and things like that. But let's talk about some of the things in retirement planning that, Tim, still quite frankly surprise you that they're still in existence here all these years later.
Well, one of the things that really surprised me that's still around is that people think that having your money in the bank is necessarily the safest thing. Now, it can be. Are banks semi-safe? Yes. Are they protected by the FDIC? Yes. But that is a federal program. And, of course, the federal government has still got to be 100%, solvent and everything for that to even, exist and be able to protect you at all. And plus, as most people know, it's only up to certain limits. So, if you've got a whole bunch of money in an account, doesn't mean it's all protected and all safe. If something were to happen to that bank or that institution or have a financial collapse, not necessarily. So that's one thing. Also, people just not knowing what they have. I mean, if you had a bunch of 401ks, let's say you've had 5 jobs, and let's say each one of those jobs had a 401k. Well, I see people all the time that don't even know what they had. I had a lady just in here not long ago. It was probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago now, sat across from me, and I said, okay, well, what all do you have? And she said, oh, well, I got about, it was $300,000-$400,000. Okay, great. Well, what's that in? I don't know. Okay, well, is that pre-tax or after-tax? I don't know. Is it in a 401k, a TSP, an IRA? I don't know. Okay, ma'am, well, that's step 1. There's going to be a bunch of steps to get you to the end zone, but just to get going here, we got to find out what you got. So people not really knowing what they've got. Another big thing is mutual funds with huge fees. And I see that also with variable annuities with huge fees. You need to really look, people, listen to me. You need to look and see what your fees are, where your money is right now. I had a lady in here, now this has been about 3 or 4 months ago, but sitting there and we looked over her accounts, Kevin, she was paying 3.75 per year.
Wow.
Now think about that. If you think, oh man, I did 6% this year. That's a great year. Mm-hmm. But if you paid 3.75%, guess what? You made 2.25.
Wow.
You take taxes out on that. Now how much did you really make? So making sure that things are done wisely and that you're not paying excess fees. And then lastly, people hear me talk about this every single week, outdated beneficiary designations. That's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. People don't even think about it. Just real quick, a story that I've told, dozens of times. Had a lady, this was years ago, came in, husband had just died. He had been married before and never changed his beneficiary documents. So she didn't get his 401k, his IRA, his life insurance. All of that went to his first wife. And guess what? She legally could keep it, and she did, because they wound up going to court and she kept it because that's what it said on the beneficiary documents. So yeah, I see things all the time. And also, honestly, just some people that are still caught in the 70s, 80s, 90s mindset of what to do in the market and what to do for retirement. Because things are totally different, man. Even though it seems like it shouldn't be that far from the 90s, that was 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. I know it doesn't seem like it should be. I mean, it doesn't seem like 9/11 should have been 24 years ago. That's ridiculous, in my opinion. But that's beside the point. It was. Mm-hmm. So making sure that you're up to date with what is really available now, what's the best thing for you to do now, and possibly calling that audible. Just because you made a plan a few years ago doesn't mean it's the best plan now. Let's get together and make sure that the plan that you've got in place is the best plan from what's available now, with the rates at what they are now, and make sure that it's going to get you where you want to go.
If you feel like maybe your retirement planning has some outdated strategies, much like that AOL dial-up tone we heard just a little while ago, whether it's pensions, outdated investments, annuities that might be underperforming, a lost 401k, I know we've talked about that on previous shows as well, or of course those beneficiary designations. It's something we've talked about each of the last couple of weeks on this program. You want to learn more, you want to sit down, you want to take that deep dive into your plan and let somebody who does this day in and day out take a real hard look at what you've got in place. Pick up the phone. Give Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement a call today. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number is 800-913-7233. Or you can always visit them online anytime. That website, again, is safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com.
It's now time for our Safe Money Story of the Week. Visit safemoneystories.com to view more.
For this week's Safe Money Story of the Week, I'm going to kind of tag on to what we were just talking about the AOL story, and that's for things that people are still doing really outdated. I had a client come in, now this was about probably 3 or 4 months ago, and it was a husband and wife. They were in their early 70s, and for the last 15 years, everything they had done had all been in CDs. He did not like the market. He just wanted to know he had the set growth for the set amount of time and did everything in CDs, and he had a bunch of CDs. I mean, like, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it was like 7, 8, 9, 10. He had a bunch, all staggered, which is fine. But there are ways to make more money and achieve the same outcome and be with a top-rated life insurance carrier versus a bank. So that's what we looked at for him. I'm like, these are great and there's nothing wrong with them. And as long as the bank stays solvent, which, hopefully they will forever, you're fine. But almost in almost every circumstance, a multi-year guaranteed annuity, that's what it's called, the ones I work with, that work just like a CD, but I can typically get someone about 1% and sometimes a little more than 1% more than they can get at a bank, number one. And number two, you don't have to pay the taxes every year. The taxes can roll, so you're getting that true compounded interest. So that's what happened with them. We actually started transitioning, and we're actually still in the process because it's going to be a several-year process with them, is transitioning them from the CDs. So we're waiting until the CDs mature at the bank, and then as each one matures, we're going to move that money from there into whatever is the top-rated MIGA at that time. I mean, it's going to make them a significant amount of money more. Plus, like I said, they're not going to have to take out and pay the taxes on the growth every single year. That can just be deferred either till the end of the multi-year guaranteed annuity or even further if we then roll that into something else at the end of that. So that was really their goal, was just to make as much as possible and to keep it as safe as possible and to keep it as diversified as possible. And that's what we wound up doing for them, is just getting them into products that have a set percentage for a set amount of time. They left. He was incredibly happy when he looked at the rates, because he had just pulled the rates from the bank, because he had one obviously coming due right then. That's why we were talking. He had just pulled the rates from his credit union, actually, not a bank, his credit union, and then sitting right there in front of me, I pulled up the rates on the MIGAs, and he was like, oh my God, that literally, I remember him saying it was like 1.55 higher for the same amount of time. And I was like, well, yeah, that's how these work. Plus, you don't have to pay the taxes. And once I explained it, it was just kind of, I don't want to say a gimme, but I mean, it was kind of like, he's like, well, why wouldn't I do this? I don't know. I agree, sir. Why wouldn't you? So, yeah, he left incredibly happy. It's going to be a long-term thing. But that's what we like to do is we like to build relationships with our clients and have those long-term. I mean, I don't want to just do, one thing with you. I want to be working with you the rest of your life to make sure that everything is exactly like you wanted and getting you the most that you possibly can. He left. They were totally happy, and I look forward. Actually, I'll be talking to him again first part of next year. I think February is when the next CD comes due, and I'll be talking to him again.
If you find like you're in a similar situation, or maybe you missed some of our previous Safe Money stories, you'd like to hear all of them, well, visit safemoneystories.com. That is the website. You can hear all the different stories that Tim tells each and every week here on the show. If you happen to miss one of our recent programs, again, safemoneystories.com, or better yet, pick up the phone, 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. The website, again, is safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. And folks, here's what we're going to do for our radio listeners today. You're not only going to get on Tim's calendar, you're going to schedule that initial conversation, but Tim and his team, they're going to ship you out a complimentary copy of his book. It's also entitled Safe Money Retirement as well. So don't delay. First 5 callers right now, you're getting that complimentary conversation. You're also getting a complimentary copy of the book. So don't delay. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233 or online at safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. All right, we got to squeeze in a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We have a whole lot more of this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood, and we're coming up right after this.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. You've heard me talk about Tim Wood, certified financial fiduciary and owner of Safe Money Retirement for a while now. But what I haven't told you is that he's also a retirement income certified professional. Now, why should you care? Well, maybe you have pre-tax and after-tax retirement accounts, and you need to know how that's going to work. Or maybe you still don't have enough guaranteed lifetime income to cover your monthly bills. Or maybe your entire savings is still exposed to risk. Listen, I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that his team can help you. I want you to write this down, safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation, free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I don't trust just anyone. So do your own homework on Tim Wood at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and request a copy of his best-selling book. 800-913-SAFE. safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Get started today.
And we welcome you back into the Safe Money Retirement Show. As we are each and every week, we are here with the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement, Mr. Tim Wood. And of course, Tim and I appreciate you being with us on the program. Set a reminder, same time, same station, each and every week as we help you put the plan in place for your retirement, hopefully 20, 30, even 40 years and beyond. And if you're a loyal listener, you hear Tim say it every single week, you got to have a plan. You don't want to have a plan that's going to run out of money after 20 or 30 years. You want to make sure you've got those income streams to cover you for a long retirement. And that's why Tim and his team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number, folks, 800-913-7233 or online anytime. It's safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I don't want to get morbid with you, but it is a pretty common fact that wives often outlive their husbands. Now, I could stop right there and just go, all right, let's move on to the next topic, because I know we've joked. None of us like to think about our own demise. We don't like to think about our spouse outliving us, but the facts are the facts. And I'm sure that's something you see quite often, right? Is that the wives are outliving husbands here these days.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. And not knowing what the husband's plan was, and then just coming in with a wad of papers and saying, oh my God, here's everything. I don't know what it is. Help. I literally, that probably happens at least once a week.
Yeah, that's really incredible. Well, I found some research here that shows nearly 80% of women will become the sole financial decision maker for their household at some point. And of course, that includes planning for retirement as well. So, Tim, let's talk about why it's so important for couples to take the time to both really have a say in finances, to really understand what that plan entails, so some things aren't getting lost in translation?
Yeah, it's vitally important for everything. I mean, let's just start with Social Security. When and how you and your wife or husband take Social Security, and when you take it, you need to make sure you're doing it properly, because whoever the top income earner was, that's going to be, if that person dies first, the other person is going to get their Social Security. So whoever that top income earner was, in many cases, it makes sense to defer starting Social Security until later, because that's going to wind up becoming the widow or widower's benefit. So anyway, that's something totally separately. But one thing that people don't realize is half of all women who become widowed in the United States are under 59.
Wow.
So, I mean, people think that, oh, well, yeah, when we get in our 70s or 80s, chances are I'll outlive him. Chances are, yeah, you are going to outlive him, but there's also a relatively good chance that, I mean, we just go. It happens. It's awful. It is what it is. That's what happens. So making sure that you're prepared, because right now, just to say average life expectancy for a female is about 79. So if your husband were to go before 59, now the last 20 years of your life, you're going to have to plan.
Right.
So you need to make sure, number one, you got someone you can trust. Someone that's going to be a certified financial fiduciary is going to look out for your best interest 100% of the time. But you need to make sure that you are involved in some of those. And I actually saw a recent study that was conducted by UBS, and it found that 85% of women manage the everyday expenses. The paying the mortgage, the grocery bill, the cell phone bill, all that stuff. But only 23% took the lead when it came to their retirement planning. So even though women are proactive with their day-to-day household finances, they don't necessarily have that experience making those long-term financial decisions, and that they need to. I mean, I'm sorry, but they need to be plugged in. They kind of need to know what's going on. If you're a husband out there listening right now, your wife kind of needs to know what you got. I mean, you don't need to go into super huge detail and tell her how it's all broken down and I've got this much in this and this and that. But she needs to know, okay, we've got this account, that's pre-tax. We've got this account, we don't have to pay tax on that. Or we only have to pay tax on the gains, or it's a Roth and we don't have to pay taxes on it. She needs to know what you've got, where you've got it, and what the tax ramifications are. Because let me tell you, it's kind of hard for someone like me when someone just comes and throws a bunch of papers in front of me. Now I'm having to dig through, and sometimes we're having to call the companies together and find out, what the heck is this? What is, what's the tax qualification? What are the penalties if we move it? What's everything? So making sure that they really know what's going on. And the last thing that I'll say is, I saw a statistic that showed that 80% of widows switch financial advisors within a year of their husband's death. Now, people may say, well, that sounds kind of weird. Why is that? Well, in my opinion, in many cases, the advisor had a relationship with that deceased spouse and not with her. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe she might not have even ever met, in some cases, the person. And if so, she may have just sat there silently through the whole time. So never was really involved. That's my point. So they want to find someone that they can then develop a relationship with and move forward. Again, I unfortunately see it often, very often. And I occasionally see it the other way around. I mean, I had a client here, it was been a couple months ago now, but the woman took care of all of the financial things. Okay, fine. He didn't know anything. So this isn't really a gender sex thing. That's not what this is. It's you and your spouse both need to know what the heck you got, know where the papers are, know, at least generally what you've got, so you don't run into a situation where, okay, one of you passes suddenly. Now the other one is standing there going, "Oh my God, what do I do? What do we have? What's going to happen? Did he have life insurance, or did he? I don't. Should I expect some money, or?" We don't want that. We want to know, okay, well, I'm sorry that Sally passed away, but now here's what's going to happen. Or I'm sorry Bill passed away, but now here's what's going to happen. And doom, 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 doom. We have a plan in place, so we know what's going to happen. Takes a lot of that stress away.
If you'd like to learn more, maybe you're listening today and you're one of those couples that one spouse has handled the majority of your finances and you'd like to get more involved, 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number is 800-913-7233 or online. It's safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, just when you think you've heard it all, this story that came upon just a few weeks ago really just made me realize there's still a lot more out there that I have not heard. Elton John recently got both knees replaced last year, and when he did, well, he didn't have the doctors toss him. He called up, believe it or not, a designer and asked them to be made into jewelry. Take a listen.
It looks a bit like an old artifact from Egypt or something.
That's what these sort of things are. They're kind of talismanic. I mean, I love doing things that actually, in 1,000 years, this will be, as it says here,
yes,
this will be Elton John's kneecap.
And on the back is in Latin, right?
Yeah. Well, my cousin is a Latin scholar. Quite
He
odd.
is.
He is, genuinely.
Yeah.
So we wanted a thing saying, I will no longer bow to any man, which, of course, you can't do with a kneecap missing.
I honestly think these are timeless pieces that will last for centuries.
Well, I thought I heard it all, but Elton John kneecap jewelry, Tim, that was a new one for me. But it really got me once again thinking about longevity and income in retirement. Again, we've talked about 20, 30, hopefully a 40-year retirement. So let me ask you this. Are you the right designer for our listeners? I'm not asking you for kneecap jewelry, but maybe for a 40-plus year retirement.
I was going to say, I'm not your kneecap guy.
No.
But for retirement, absolutely. And that kind of takes me back to a discussion you and I have had before about paychecks and playchecks. Mm-hmm. So making sure that you have enough paychecks, that's the most important thing. Making sure you've got paychecks that are going to last the rest of your life and no matter how long you live, right? Because you can go to a standard financial advisor and they can run what's called a Monte Carlo simulation. And that Monte Carlo simulation can say, well, based on this, and if we do this and this, based on the history of the market, you have got a 94.7% chance of success. Well, in my opinion, does that sound pretty good? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. But brother, that is a 5.3% chance of failure. Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't want my clients, because what are you going to do if you've got enough money to live to 93 and you live to 98? What are you going to do? That means literally the last few years that you are on this planet, you're going to be a ward of the state, or you're going to wind up having to live with family. And some people just, I am not living with that brother-in-law. I hear it all, as you can imagine. Right. So making sure that you have got your paychecks guaranteed for the rest of your life and that they can go up. Basically, if and when inflation happens, that they can go up. That's vitally important as far as long-term. But then also making sure those paychecks, making sure that you have got access to other money to where you can get at it if you want to take a trip, if you want to do fun things, if you want to go see the grandkids, or you want to take that big Disney trip with your grandkids and your kids that you've always dreamed about. Okay, well, you need to have access to something where you can take a chunk out and do that. All of that has to do with longevity and has to do with income, but making sure that you've got something that's going to last. That's just like he was saying, his kneecaps are going to last. Okay, that's great. That's, okay, great. But making sure that your income is going to last, making sure that your retirement savings is going to last, making sure that if you do, what happens if what happens if your money runs out at 87 and you live to 103? Okay, well, that's a long time to live off the state or to live off a family member or who knows what. Making sure you've got a plan and making sure that plan is solid and can take care of you when it needs to.
If you'd like to learn more, you want to pick up the phone, you want to get on Tim Wood's calendar, well, don't delay. We got spots filling up here as we get closer and closer to the end of the calendar year. But if you'd like to get a jump on it, pick up the phone, get on his calendar today. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number, 800-913-7233, or online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, we are very quickly running out of time on this week's show. But before we do, as always, sir, the floor is all yours for the final word.
Thanks, Kevin. Great show. Hope everyone enjoyed it this week. So the first thing I want to talk about is we talked about wives outliving their husbands. And that is so vitally important for wives to know, and husbands, vice versa. Again, this isn't a sexist thing. Know what y'all have. Know what your savings is. Know what your accounts are. Know what the tax liability is on it. Know all of these things. Have a list so you know, because sooner or later, we're not all going to live forever. That's not happening. Sooner or later, everyone listening is going to pass. And your spouse, if you're still married, is going to be wondering, what am I going to do now? They need to know what you've got and be able to walk right into someone and say, here's what I've got. Let's make a plan. That's number one. Number two, do you still have outdated plans? Have you not checked your plan in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Because things have changed dramatically. Rates have changed dramatically just over the last few years. If you made a plan in 17, 18, 19, 20, the rates now are sometimes triple what they were then. So just because you made a plan, and even if it was relatively recently, doesn't mean it's the best plan now. Sit down with someone that can look at your entire holistic situation, make a plan to get you where you want to go so you can have your own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.